Hello, this is Mrs. Brown, and today we're solving basic two-step equations. So to start, you should understand that when we're solving equations, we're actually working backwards to the order of operations. So with the order of operations, remember we have grouping symbols, exponents, multiplication or division from left to right, and then addition or subtraction from left to right. So when we solve equations, instead of starting at the top of the order of operations, we're going to take care of the adding and subtracting first. In other words, I'm going to get rid of the minus 3 before I touch the 5, okay? Because my goal when I'm solving equations is to get the variable alone on one side. So I want this x all by itself. In order to get the x by itself, I've got to get rid of 5 and 3, and my solving equations tells me start with addition and subtraction. So I'm going to start by getting rid of 3. Well, how do you get rid of 3? You do the opposite. So the opposite of minus 3 is adding 3. And if I do it to this side, the rule is I have to do it to this side as well. So minus 3 plus 3. So these are opposites, like a negative 3 plus 3. So that comes out to nothing. And then 17 plus 3 is 20. So 5 times mystery number equals 20. I'm guessing you already know the answer. But let's look at the procedure. The opposite of multiplying by 5 is dividing by 5. When you are solving equations, use the fraction bar to show division. You'll make way less mistakes, especially when you get into algebra and you have much more complicated things that you're looking at. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 1 times x is x. Okay, remember 1 times anything is that anything according to the identity property. And 20 divided by 5 is 4. This would be showing out your work, and this would be the correct answer. You can always check. 5 times 4 is 20, and if I subtract 3, I do get 17, so I did the problem correctly. So let's look at another example. Okay, so let's say I had negative 9m plus 4 equals negative 41. Now, again, still going to use the same procedure. I'm trying to get m all by itself on one side. So I have to get rid of a minus 9 and a plus 4. Well, according to here, I have to get rid of the addition and subtraction. Remember, this means negative 9 times m, so I need to get rid of the plus 4 before I deal with this. So to get rid of plus 4, I have to do the opposite of adding 4, which is subtracting 4. So if I have $4 and I spend $4, I have nada. Okay, so I'm subtracting 4 from negative 41. Remember, with negative numbers, subtracting a positive number is the same as adding a negative number. So this is like negative 41 plus negative 4, which is negative 45. So when I'm subtracting it, I'm actually getting more negatives. So that's negative 45. So I've gotten rid of this. I'm left with negative 9 times mystery number equals negative 45. The opposite of multiplying by negative 9 is dividing by negative 9. Notice I'm using the sign of that because I just want that to be a coefficient of 1. And any number divided by itself is always going to be 1. So whatever this is, that's what I'm dividing by. And so I'm dividing by negative 9. Negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1, and 1 times m is m because of the identity property. Negative 45 divided by negative 9 is positive 5. And we are all done. Again, you can put that number back in and make sure that it works out. Negative 9 times 5 is negative 45 plus 4. Well, negative 45 plus 4, one's positive and one's negative, so we subtract, which would be 41. And since there's more negatives than positives, it's negative 41, so it does work out. So again, the nice thing about equations is you can always take what answer you get, put it back in, and see if it works. If it does, you did the problem correctly, probably. And then if you didn't get the same thing, there's probably a mistake somewhere. All right, don't go into panic mode because you see a fraction, okay? It's not really that scary. Actually, remember that if I could write this differently. Instead of writing 1/3 times n, that would be like 1/3 times n over 1. 1 times n is n, and 3 times 1 is 3. So I could actually write this instead of 1/3 times n is n divided by 3. Whichever way is more comfortable, both of them will work out and get you the correct answer. A lot of people kind of are like not super happy with fractions sometimes, although fractions are your friends when you get to algebra, just saying. But if you're more comfortable with this, this is equivalent to this. So you can use this when you're solving it. So I'm going to do it both ways so that you can kind of see the difference. Again, this is 1/3 times plus 1. I want to get n by itself, so I'm going to start at the bottom of the order of operations and get rid of plus 1 by subtracting 1. So that goes bye-bye. And that's 15. So 1/3 times n equals 15. Now, the opposite of multiplying by 1/3 is dividing by 1/3. So I would divide both sides by 1/3. 1/3 divided by 1/3 is going to cancel because any number divided by itself is going to turn into 1. And 1 times n is n. So if I were doing this problem, 15 divided by 1/3, I would use my keep it, change it, flip it rule for fractions. So keep the first fraction, change it to multiplication, and flip the sign. And I end up with 45. Okay, so n equals 45. And in fact, 1/3 times 45 is 15, plus 1 is 16. This is the kind of problem that's really easy for people to miss, because when they get to this one step, they're thinking, oh, 1/3 of 15 is 5. 5 must be the correct answer. But if I do 1/3 times 5, that gives me 5/3, which when I add 1 doesn't get 16, so it doesn't work out. So let's look at the same problem, but I'm going to back up and do it the other way. Rewriting this as n over 3. So it's n divided by 3, because every fraction is a division problem waiting to happen. We just don't usually divide them out. I'm going to start with the same process. The opposite of adding 1 is subtracting 1. So some number divided by 3 equals 15. Well, what's the opposite of division? Multiplication. 1's in the numerator, 1's in the denominator. They divide out to 1, and 1 times n is n. 15 times 3 is 45. So again, I can do the same thing and solve it the same way, basically, except this way, some people find a lot easier because there's not a fraction, and it's just kind of that mental, oh, there's a fraction kind of thing. So whichever one's more comfortable for you is fine. Okay? I hope this helps, and have a fabulous day.